Welcome once more to the 6th installment of the Arcounter Devlog series. This time we will discuss items and I guess half a spell? Enjoy!
Spooky greetings, dear frightening viewer. It's just the right time of this eerie night for yet another ghostly demo. Ooh.
Okay, I will drop this now. It's not even Halloween yet. Hello, how have you been this past month? Before we begin though,
just one more thing.
You can still play the Arcounter demo for yet another month.
keep in mind that the stuff I am going to be showcasing today is not in the demo. But hey, my mum said it's very nice, so what more do you want? By the way, I would like to thank everyone who has tested the demo thus far, and especially people who took time out of the day to complete the feedback forms. I have started writing down the key takeaways and will be fixing the issues found and implementing some new stuff based on the feedback right after the demo period closes. With that out of the way, let's get into the devlog proper and what I have been working on this month. With the university in full swing now, unfortunately there have been some things I did not have time for, but I still think that what I have implemented in the past few weeks has made the game considerably better. The last full feature system. Besides quest, maybe I'll have to see if I have the time for it. Items. That's right, the staple in the roguelike genre. Items. I wanted to have items in Arcounter for several reasons. The first one is they provide variety. Every run will give you a different set of items and therefore might change your playstyle for this particular session. Some tactics might become less or more powerful based on your equipment. Another reason is mostly the usable ones test your skill of resource management. Should you use your healing item to restore your 3 missing hearts, or will you wait for a better opportunity and risk dying? That is a question you will have from now on. Items also provide the player with immediate reward in the middle of runs. No longer will you have to die in order to receive a bonus for your skillful play. And lastly, receiving items allows you to build power during a playthrough. Therefore, I can feel justified in throwing harder and harder challenges at the player. This, coupled with the player's growing ability and understanding of the underlying game mechanics, should help them remain in the flow state. What is a flow state, you ask? A good question. This is a graph of Csíkszentmihályi's flow state. Mihály Csíkszentmihályi was a Hungarian-American psychologist who described the flow state as being completely involved in an activity for its own sake. The ego falls away, time flies, every action, movement and thought follows inevitably from the previous one, like playing jazz. Your whole being is involved and you are using your skills to the utmost. Bringing it back a bit more into gaming terms, the difficulty and the player's ability to overcome it should, on average, rise simultaneously in a way such that the player is always experiencing a challenge, but never so much that they get overwhelmed. On this graph though, the difficulty does not rise linearly with player skill. As you can see, it increases in distinct steps. That is because a constant challenge, however accurate, will get tiring over time. Because of this, the game should alternate between places of relative challenge and rest. Let me give you an example. A new enemy is introduced. You can see that big health bar and have no idea what they are capable of. That gives you a challenge and keeps you on your toes trying to assess how will they react to your actions. Over time, you learn their behavior and attack patterns, maybe get an upgrade or two, and they become just another enemy to you. At that point, you are comfortable with their presence and maybe can even experiment with your playstyle on them. This is when the challenge starts becoming stale and a new obstacle needs to be introduced so the cycle begins anew. But enough about Csíkszentmihályi's flow theory. Let us get into the items themselves. What are they and what do they do? Well, there are 5 of them now, and they are as follows. Healing Potion, Reinforced Shield, Magic Missile Amulet, Healing Totem, and the Fireball Totem. Starting with the Healing Potion itself. A red, mysterious liquid encased in a glass heart-shaped bottle, closed with a cylindrical cork. With some, we can assume medicinal herbs sticking out of it. There is not much to talk about it, honestly. Once you find it in a chest, it heals you to full health, regardless of the amount that you are missing. And as a little bonus, it gives you 1 additional point to your maximum HP. Then there is the reinforced shield, a wooden shield with metal bracings and a wolf's head on the front. Upon its collection, it gives you 3 armor points? Hearts? These things. I forgot to explain their use when they were added, so now it will be a good time to go over that. They work like regular health points in a way. Once you take damage, if there is any armor available, it will be removed first. Unlike health points though, there is no cap on the amount of armor you can have at any time, so go wild. Additionally, each hit that gets absorbed by the armor will not interrupt your spells and will not send you flying backwards after you are damaged. Though you will still get the invincibility window to keep you from being attacked by like 5 unfortunately timed bullets. Therefore, having armor is much more beneficial than having that amount of health points. Fewer items will give you armor rather than health though, so you will need to value your armor. You never know when you will need it the most. Next comes the Magic Missile Amulet, a vaguely bat-shaped amulet with 2 turquoise crystals on its sides and a red one in the middle. From the center ring hang 3 elongated shapes representing the magic missiles themselves, the most interesting of the passive items. Each time you are hit, there is a 25% chance to fire a seeking missile that will hit a nearby enemy. The missile will never miss as long as there is an enemy in its range and can only be stopped by colliding with another enemy. Moreover, if you collect multiple amulets, each one has a chance of firing a separate missile. That is, if you have 4 of them, every time you get hit, there is a 1 in 256 chance that you will fire a 4 missile barrage at your foes. Good stuff. Finally come the 2 usable items. After collecting a usable item, you will see its icon in the lower left corner of your screen. Each one takes a certain amount of item points to use. The amount that your current usable item consumes is the maximum number of points you can hold at the time. Meaning if you reach 50 item points, given that this is what your current item consumes, and then you swap it for an item that only needs 30, you will lose 20 item points. Currently, you obtain these points by collecting experience orbs. Each one gives you a single point. The little item portrait fills up as you collect them. Its fill amount represents how many item points you have divided by the amount your current item consumes on use. In testing, seeing if the item is ready for use was somewhat difficult, since a point could mean a difference of only a few pixels in the image's fill. Therefore, when you have amassed enough points, a particle system starts sending pulses behind your item. When you press the C key, a ghost of your usable item appears, showing you where it will be placed and its effective range. You can of course rotate your view to change its position to better suit your needs. When you release the C key, the item is placed and it starts doing whatever it's supposed to do, and then disappears after a certain period of time. That is the gist of what usable items do, and now onto the items themselves. Firstly, the Healing Totem. Twin coiling snakes biting into a crimson crystal, sat atop of a totem of stone, framed on the sides with 2 wings of green and yellow. The Healing Totem, as the name would suggest, heals you. Using it will cost you 50 item points. Plonk it down and it will send out 5 healing pulses and then disappear. If you are in range, each time a pulse occurs, you will receive 1 point of health back. When used in an empty room, it is effectively an instant heal with extra steps, but rather dangerous when used in the midst of an encounter. Hope you get a dodging. And finally, we have the Fireball Totem, a rocky serpent with a dragon's head perched around a pole of stone. Golden accents highlight both its value and deadliness. Each use costs 30 item points. Put this totem down and it will immediately start seeking and firing at your enemies. Each shot has a cooldown, and a turret part can only rotate so fast, so it excels at chipping away at slower, less agile enemies. It stays for 10 seconds before it, like all things in life, will disappear. And that is it when it comes to the items themselves. How will you obtain them though? Right now, after every cleared room, each one contains a few points that could spawn a chest. Once the room has no more enemies, it determines which one of these points is the closest to the player, activates it, and boom! A chest. Should the chest contain a usable item when you still have one, your new item will be collected. But fret not, the old item would just be dropped on the ground and at any point you can exchange it back. And lastly, that one half of a spell I mentioned. I was planning on implementing 2 spells in addition to the items this month, but once I have finished the items, I have realized I only have 3 days left until this devlog. So the spell is a bit of a work in progress. Therefore, instead of showing you how unfinished it is in-game, we will use this extremely helpful drawing. The spell is a grappling hook. You aim it just like you would the laser beam. You accept the selection, and once you have, the player character shoots out a grappling hook in real time. If it does not hit anything, the attack fails and ends. If it does hit something though, next few steps are dependent on whether you hit a part of the environment or an enemy. If it is the environment, you pull yourself towards it and then get a chance to kick off of it in the direction of your choosing, a bit like the palm explosion. If it is an enemy though, you get to pull them and yourself to a point in between the two of you. Then kicking yourself off of them will send them flying like a projectile, dealing damage on landing to themselves and whoever they land on. Particularly heavy enemies like the Ancient Guardian can only be pulled towards and will be pushed back slightly when you kick off. Small environment pieces together with the bigger projectiles like the spear will act much like smaller enemies, useful for when you want to send that projectile back to sender or beat one motherfucker with another motherfucker. And that is it for this devlog. What do you think? Are you excited to use the items? Which one is your favorite? Be sure to let me know in the comments, and if you haven't played the demo, be sure to give it a shot. There's still a month for you to play it. I would once again like to thank everyone who played it and left useful feedback. I would like to offer my deepest thank you to the 14 of you who wishlisted the Kickstarter campaign. As this campaign is what could make or break my future game making career, it is extremely important to me. So why not give it a shot and click that button? All the links are in the description as always. And oh, one last thing. Since the uni year has kicked off in full gear by now, things like making half a spell might become a bit more frequent. The work has not slowed down in the slightest, since fortunately I can make parts of my game for my game art course, but working around them can be quite a pain, since they have to be done to a certain university standard. Regardless, thank you for sticking with my rambling for so long, and don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. Honestly, it helps me more than you could imagine. I will see you again next month, but until then, take care.